So yeah, I was just too involved with things today to gather images, but I thought about it. So anyway, I wrote some things down. I wrote a whatever this
Give
is.
us a picture for the background while he reads.
Yeah,
Okay.
give us a picture of the yeah, that's it. Perfect. Okay. So images, imagination, perhaps expand your consciousness. Walking along a long country road with a friend, and I have to stop to look at a tall, leaning flower. As I take the flower in, I realize that it needs me to look at it. Why? I feel it respond to my amazement at its beauty. I realize that the flower communicates. It too has a need for appreciation, as I do. It has given to me, and as I now give to it. We will never forget each other now for our communion. Now I remember all the interactions with nature as a real communication between two or more sentient realities. With the love in my heart, I reach out and touch the being of this phenomenon. A fallen leaf on the ground, the sun hitting the side of a building, the aurora dancing, the trees standing, the snowflake falling, the human walking, the sun setting, and the stars shining, all for me and I for them. That's it.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Very
That was
poetic.
great.
So that's how I interact with pretty much everything out there.
You just appreciate every moment, is what you're saying. I guess.
Yeah, and I feel that it's not just me looking at that, and they're not being affected by my attention. I feel that they're being affected by my attention, and that they react, and maybe it raises their vibration, because it definitely raises mine.
And you do that with everything, really, when I think of it. Like when we're walking, you really give your attention to everything around you, whether it's a small child or, a cat or a dog or a bird or whatever. Yes, everything you give your attention to. Trees, right? Remember you pointed out that huge oak tree?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that and that asparagus too.
oh, the asparagus, yeah. You should tell them that story.
Oh, sure. We were walking along this big open spaces right by the ocean. It's kind of like a dike, and it just goes on for many miles. It's along a Boundary Bay, I think. You can walk from Sawasan to White Rock, and it's all open water anyway. There's all this vegetation along both sides of the path. And lo and behold, there's like a 2-foot asparagus growing growing there. And
like really high and thick asparagus.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I said, that's asparagus, look at that. And Diane didn't think it was asparagus, so I broke off a piece and ate it. And I said, no, that's definitely asparagus, so that was pretty cool.
So we ate it. It was really good.
We didn't eat all of it though. We didn't destroy it. We
Yeah.
want there to be asparagus there next year when we go back.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, that was amazing.
But yeah, I lived out in Souk, pretty off grid for almost 12 years, and spent a lot of time, around in the surroundings, and I really, got to know my area and the trees. I got, kind of developed this awe-inspired relationship with some of these trees. There were some really big Douglas firs, probably somehow they got missed when they came and clear cut everything 100 years before. They just must have been, you know, a little too small when they cut everything, when they had a chance to grow for 100 years and they got really tall. And I was in California and I had a dream that one of the trees fell. So I phoned my neighbor and I said, you should go up the hill. One of those trees has fallen down and you might want to, you know, take your chainsaw and get some of that wood. And he just said, yeah, right. You know, right, Dave. And I said, no, it's down. There's one of those big, huge Douglas firs has fallen down. That I'm telling you. And anyway, a week or so later, I called him back and we were talking and he said, oh, by the way, he says, yeah, I'm impressed. I goes, oh, why's that? He goes, you were right. That tree's down, you know, and most of it had fallen over onto the neighbor's property. So he had the rights to it. But sure enough, he went up there and bucked up a bunch of that wood. But anyway, that was, yeah, I was very connected to that spot. And yeah.
Did you ask him to find out when it fell?
I knew when it fell. It was, you know.
It'd be interesting how close it was, whether it was like the exact instant or maybe 10 seconds or a minute, or if you could get that close, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I would say I was, okay, so we could say it was definitely a week before he went up the hill after I told him to go up. You know, I said, you should go up. I suggested he should go up. And so a week later, he finally went up and there the tree was down, but he wouldn't know when it fell. But I had, you know, seen it fall like a week before that in my, you know, in this vision I had.
The neighbor whose property it fell on probably knew the exact, you know, day that it
No,
fell.
he had 100 acres.
Oh.
And this was up on the top part of his property, way up on the hill, and he didn't know. And you know, eventually, you know, I think Joseph told him, said, yeah, that big fir fell, and you've got, you know, God, I don't know how many cords of wood if he did actually bother to, you know, to cut it up. And I mean, that tree was huge. It was like at least 200 feet high. You know? And so you can imagine how big it was at the base. It was a monstrous tree.
Could it have fallen like a year or two before? Or
No,
like
because
that?
I was living up there, and I went down to California, and I had been there for about a week, and then I had this lucid dream. You know, it was more than a dream, and I was hovering above, and I saw that the tree had fallen, and so that was okay. So I left. So that was a week, right? So I figure maybe it was, you know, it had fallen 5 to 6 days after I left. And then Joseph went up, you know, a week after that. So
you've
And
got it within a week, you know,
Yeah.
within a week. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or it's the most unbelievable coincidence there's ever been.
Well, but I saw other things happen there when I was away that were not pleasant.
yes, I remember you saying that with the
Yeah.
bull. Yeah.
Yeah, I had this other lucid dream that there was a bull inside I lived inside an unfinished house up there, and I had finished off you know, about, I don't know, 1,000 or more square feet of it, and I was living in there. Anyway, I saw in this lucid dream, what my impression was, that it was a bull and it was rampaging and it destroyed everything in the inside of my space. And then I saw it from above, and I saw all my stuff like as if a bomb had gone off, and everything just blew out all the windows. And there was just, all my stuff was scattered all around, you know, the front and sides of the house. And then again, this happened when I was in California, a different time. And I knew something had happened. So I phoned up a friend of mine who would know what was going on out there, right? And he says, oh, it's a good thing you phoned me. I'd gone back to Vancouver. He said, it's a good thing you phoned me. He said, don't go out to your place for a while. And I'm saying, oh, why is that? He said, well, your neighbors got busted for growing pot. And they went up to your place and they put a bunch of pot plants up there. And they went and so they're looking for you. You might get arrested if you went up there now, right? They're looking for you, right? They know who you are, blah, blah, blah. And so eventually I spent a couple more weeks. I laid low until the heat was off, and I went up, and it was like just like I saw. The cops had gone in there and completely destroyed everything in my place, and they threw everything out the doors and windows, and like all my stuff was like just completely. It was a disaster.
So there's an interesting example of what we were talking about earlier. So the cops see the marijuana, assume that the owner or the person who lives there, it belongs to him. Then they feel justified in just tearing the crap out of your place, which which they wouldn't have done if it was for some other reason. So they'd made this heavy duty judgment on you, and they were totally and completely wrong. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely innocent.
Oh, come on, Dave.
But you
Brent,
see,
he was not.
Oh, so he planted them and whatever here?
No, I had left some of mine growing. Like I only had about 30 plants.
Oh,
But
you got your just desserts then, right?
well, okay, but they took up like a couple hundred plants up there, left them out on my balconies, right? There are these two huge decks, big, huge decks out in the front of this place, left them out there. And and of course the helicopters came, saw it, and then, they went nuts. But they took like my machete. I had a machete inside, and they took it, and that's what they used to like hack. Like they just destroyed my place. It was a mess, but yeah. So, and of course, like I saw a bull, and that's a term for, cops, and prison guards, they call them bulls, and so.
They do?
Huh?
They do?
Oh, you didn't? You didn't know that? They call Oh, you're probably an old Yardbird from way back.
Not really, but I was in jail once, yeah.
So anyway, I've had that place in particular, I had a very strong spiritual connection to, and it sort of, I always knew kind of if there was something amiss or what was going on there.
Did you ever get in trouble for that?
No, they kind of, they made their bust, and they arrested my two neighbors, and they assumed that property was part of their property. And they tried to make that distinction in court, but they said no, that it was a moot point by then. And anyway, there's another part of this story that I could tell that's amazing coincidence, but we'll leave it for another time.
I just want to add though, when you were leaving there, did you have a hawk or was it an eagle?
Well, yeah, okay. I had always been aware of the eagles and hawks that were living around me, and I was standing out there just daydreaming, looking out over the valley. I was halfway up this really huge hill, and it was an amazing vista that I had there. Anyway, I'm just standing there, and something hit me on the top of the head. And it was an eagle feather, and it just dropped, and I, what the heck? And I grabbed it before it hit the ground, and then another one came out of the air, and I grabbed that too before it hit the ground. So I had I'd been gifted these two eagle feathers, which I'm not supposed to own. So
that's right, you're not.
Yeah, I gave them back to who they belonged to, or who. Yeah, okay, but so. I'm finally leaving. I'm packed up, and this is it. I'm exiting. I've got a week before I move to my apartment that Diane and I are living in Vancouver. And so I'm just having my last week at the place there, and I'm packing up, and and everything, and there's this a dead tree about 30 yards in front of the place from the deck, and there's a big bald eagle sitting on the top of this dead tree. So we're almost at about perfect eye level to each other. And so I go out and I look at this eagle, and it's just looking at me, right? And raptors don't like to be stared at. I don't know if you go out and look at hawks and eagles, but if you stare at them, they'll fly away. They don't like to be stared at. They don't mind. But anyway, this eagle was locked on me, and I worked all day, and it didn't leave for about a good 6 hours. It just stayed there, and every time, and it was just looking at me the whole time, and so I would go out there, and we would just stare at each other, and so I'm going, well, that's cool, but I got to get packed up and get out of here. But I could do this all day. But we would spend, like, I would every once in a while go out for 20 minutes and just stare at the eagle. He was there all day, and went, well, that's amazing. Then the next day it was a red-tailed hawk that came and did the same thing. I was, basically it was just staring at me all day. And so I don't, that was what happened.
Wow, the eagles and the lucid dreaming, and wow, dude, you are something else.
In ancient Greek, they had times of ancient Greece, long before Aristotle and all that. They had an art called the art of bird. It wasn't bird watching. It was
Symbolism?
It means you.
Oh, okay.
What it means is that you interpret. So the Greeks believed that when the gods wanted to talk to people, they sent their messengers in the form of birds. So they would interpret the action of the bird and the type of bird and the direction it was flying and all that stuff. So in that art form, Dave, those were really important observations, because the two predator birds that you mentioned are, one is the bird of the east and the other is the bird of the north. So the east is the eagle, which is the shamanic equivalent of an angel. It's a messenger between God and you. And on the north, it's to do with the mind and mental things. And that's where the hawk is the bird of the north.
Ah.
So I don't know what they were trying to tell you, but it was really important for them. And
Yeah.
I guess that's gone for you now, but
Well, we had lived together for 12 years, and I was aware of them,
yeah.
and I think they were aware of me.
Mhm.
And I did a lot of rituals out there, and it was always casting a circle and communing with the four directions.
Yeah.
So I felt very, very good. I still do. I'm living here in the city, but yeah, I took that with me, and I still feel connected to that.
Did you ever do anything like put any food out for them or try to communicate with them in any way?
No. I think I was aware of them. I knew they lived, very close to me, because they were always around, and so I didn't know. I would never put food out for them, and unless they considered my 2 cats and 2 dogs food, but no, I didn't. We never got that close to each other before. They were always flying around doing their thing, and I'd hear them, I'd see them flying, and they would, and of course the eagle would probably be nested up there, maybe in one of those big firs, and would go, it would be like at the most would take them a minute, or 2 to get down to the ocean where the eagle would be fishing, no doubt. There's the bay there, Souk Harbor's famous for salmon fishing. So I don't doubt, you know, a big supply of food was there, and the hawk was have been going after all the rabbits and quail and things that were also abundant around that area. The ravens, yeah, it was
Pretty cool.
it was very, very cool. I was loving it. Yeah.
Well, you've
Yeah.
got me thinking in terms of shamanism now. So I have another piece of art to show you,
Oh,
except the artist in this case is me. It's done
Oh.
on a skin. So let's see if I can.
oh yeah.
See all
Wow.
those little diagrams. So you start at the bottom,
Oh,
and that little guy there, that's me.
okay. You have to raise it a bit so we can
Oopsie.
see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the little guy there is me. And then across the bottom is symbols of my life in the past.
Mm.
And then what happens is that it's a path. And then as you start to ascend, you encounter different creatures. So that's a deer.
Yes.
And that's,
Oh.
it's one of my totem animals. And then here is it's a symbol of a crane, which is
Oh.
from my name, Dreaming Crane. Then there's a mask here with a flower on it, and it goes out from that side and that side, and all this stuff has symbolism.
Wow.
So here's, then as we get into
Wow.
that symbol. Okay, so that's one of the evolutionary things in my spiritual life. And then this one is a person riding a horse. And then what the vision that I got when I did this, or that I was trying to draw with this, is that was what I was doing at one stage. And then I transformed into something like this.
Oh.
So,
Oh wow.
and I can't remember what else some of these things are. There's a single rainbow up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a little soliloquy.
Can you just
Anyway.
show the top a bit so we can see the top? Yeah, there.
Very
Okay.
tippy top. There it is.
Okay, that looks like one of the gray aliens with the big black eyes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But
Wow.
it's interesting. So that was symbolizes a very complex set of teachings that I received from Deer Tribe Métis Medicine Society in
Oh,
Arizona, and I got it
wow.
through the ICSS in Toronto. Oops, it looks like it's ripped here. Anyway, I left this in my trailer, and then when the COVID closed the border, I haven't seen it for 2 years or something. So I finally got it out. Now I got to try to remember, find my notes and interpret it all. See if
Yes.
I'm
Wow.
still going where I thought I was going.
Interesting.
Take it with you your next sweat lodge or ayahuasca journey and see what it looks like.
Actually, that's an interesting thought, because I did go to a sweat lodge this past weekend. The first one I've been to again in a long time. But I
Oh,
wouldn't want to take something like that in, because
yeah,
it's the real thing, it's like a steam bath.
that's
So
right.
it could wreck my mesa cloth, the thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's-
I was just inspired by you, Dave, because you're very close to the magic, and that thing tries to draw a picture of the magic as it applies to you.
Did I show you the huge staff that he got? He was,
No,
I
I don't.
show in the video. I'm gonna show it. Just tell him that I've gone to get it.
Okay, well, here he's back.
Yeah, I heard it. I just had to step into the next room for a bit.
I thought you were
Yeah.
lucid dreaming and left your body.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, I think that whatever part of me that was traveling that night, went over there to find out what was going on, because something was going on. Yeah. Well, when I saw the tree fall and I saw the disturbance in the this yeah. It's got my you're not supposed to touch that, honey. Sorry.
It's too late. Sacredness is gone now.
Okay.
Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's about 5.5 feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd say about that. Yeah.
What do you do with it?
I just leave it near my doorway, kind of for protection, I guess, and in case I have to beat somebody with it. But I have used it in my rituals, that's like I'm holding that, and that's my connection to earth and heaven. But you want me to tell this story, Diane? Okay, so I'm up in the Sunshine Coast, and we
The Sunshine Coast, Brent, is part of BC. Like it's in BC.
yeah, it's a nice area, very wooded, right on the water, right along the coast north of us. And anyway, so I'm up there visiting friends, and it's a full moon, and I couldn't sleep, and everybody's asleep. So I went down to the ocean to hang out with the moon. So I decided I was going to do a ritual, and so I cast my circle, and of course I looked at my area first. I went, oh, that's a perfect place, right? And there's this nice, really flat, sandy area, and the tide had gone out, and it was completely like devoid of anything. It was like perfectly, just a really nice, like it had been paved almost, right? So I do the 4 directions. I go and pay homage to the 4 directions, and I walk into the middle of the circle, and that staff was right there in the middle of the circle. And I'm looking around like, who put this here? Who was, like, somebody snuck up and put that in the middle of my circle. And there, of course, there's no footprints except for mine around the circle. And but I knew, like, I had scoped this. I looked at it, and I knew exactly where I was going to do my circle, and there was nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. And then, but this was there when I turned around to go to the center of the circle. So,
Were you on anything at the time?
no.
Hmm.
No, I wasn't.
Did you check it for fingerprints?
I wonder. But yeah, no, that sometimes I would put a nice big quartz crystal on the top of the shaft, and and work with it that way. And it's interesting that this is sort of coming up, because I haven't been working in that way for quite a long time, but I've been thinking about it. I really feel drawn to it again, so I'll probably start just doing my rituals again, breaking out my shaman kit, and do some work.
I'm in the same mood, interestingly enough. Since I've recovered the suitcase that thing is in is older than I am. It belonged to my parents when they were courting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I got 2, a big one and then the small one that I just used for my paraphernalia.
Yeah.
I have 5 more pictures if you want to see them.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love Asher.
Yeah, there's something really interesting about that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like how did it get started in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, like could there have been a start even, you know?
Right. Yeah.
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 So multi-dimensional, like where's the energy coming from that's coming into both of those hands to get them to make the drawing in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I can't even describe the feeling actually. It's just there's something about the nature of our existence or the nature of reality that is sort of self-reflective, recursive.
Yeah. You don't know where something begins and where it ends, right? So
Right.
Yeah, I just had a thought, and that his stuff is almost like a visual koan, you know? And sometimes
Yeah, that's a
as
good
it just
observation.
want to look at it and try and figure it out.
Okay.
Those 4 buttons are interesting on the four
Oh, yeah.
corners
Oh,
of
yeah.
the page.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. They seem to be pointing in directions.
And what beauty. I mean, the guy is so good at drawing. I mean, look at those hands. They look like hands, for God's
yeah,
sakes.
they're
Yeah.
real. They're real.
Incredible.
Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They come off the page. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wow. I am a piece of paper and I control your entire life.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. That's
Interesting.
perception, right? Because there's nothing to back it. They just print it out of thin air.
Oh, there's so much of it out there now, not backed by anything except our belief system. That's
Exactly.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But then again, someone else would say, yeah, we need gold behind all this stuff. And then I would say, well, gold is in the eye of the beholder also. I mean, if
Yeah.
we got into a scenario where the end of the world was coming, you can't eat gold.
That's
So I
right.
mean, it would be worthless, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all the same thing.
Ah. Who's this? Alex Gray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like him. Yeah. His work.
Yeah. Wow.
We saw him when we were in
Prague.
Prague. Yeah.
Yeah.
is he the guy who did the famous Gray's Anatomy?
No,
No,
but
no.
close.
Yeah. He did the
He's in the same business.
he did the Gray's Anatomy on acid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know where he's coming from. I was on LSD once, and all the surface of a friend's body disappeared, and I started seeing right through all the layers, and just like this.
Mm.
And I was so shocked, you know, I'm grabbing my friend and I'm going, oh my God, what's the matter with Scott? Look at. And he's, you know, my buddy, he wasn't on acid. And he goes, Scott's fine, Dave. It's okay. And, but then I realized, and I was seeing like his eye sockets and the muscles and the bone and the veins and the nerves and everything. It was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an eye on the top of his head, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
An eyeball.
Yeah.
And a lotus, kind of like a lotus, geometric lotus. Yeah.
Back in the day, when I was dropping a lot of acid, I would go down to this lake that was close by where I lived, just walk from where I lived, and I'd get the lake was actually further down, and then I'd sit on these rocks and I'd get into a full lotus, and then I just close my eyes and I'd be gone for 3 or 4 hours, and it was exactly like this, where your eye the third eye just opens right up, and you're in
Wow.
a completely different world. Yeah. But I realized, you know, when I got older and dropped, that the level of my ability to see at that time was in proportion to where I was at on a level of consciousness where I was at. And then as that changed, then the trips started changing. So it's all relative to where you are. So somebody who wasn't interested in the experience could take it by accident or something and have a very insightful experience and hate every second of it because it would just scare them to death. But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is the person's their state of consciousness at the time that they take these things, right? So
Yeah, I like this. It's
Mm.
very,
Oh.
very interesting. Showing all the different ways in which oneness gets broken up into various perceptual experiences.
Yeah, this
or are they just different paths, right? You know, because I mean, what people look at now is science and materialism. Are they not just another form of religion?
Well,
well,
a little different. I mean, science can be looked at as just a way to explore the world and make for a better life. I mean, but then again, some scientists can be pretty nutty. But I don't know. Like I say, okay, I see a yin yang symbol, and there's a cross there for Christianity, and then Judaism is the star, and the Om is for just spiritual enlightenment. And then it looks like either Islam or Muslim, the moon and the star.
Yeah.
The other one, I don't know what the other one is.
That's
so
the wheel, the Buddhist wheel.
Oh, the Buddhist wheel.
was it? Okay, that's a symbol from Hinduism also. That's an important symbol in India.
Yeah.
And as the Om is as well. It's, I think they're maybe two different philosophies, religions from a similar part of the world. And the star of Judaism is the one pointing up is man reaching for God, and the one pointing down is God reaching down towards man.
Yeah, and really that symbol, like they've taken that symbol, right? Which is the, oh, what's the name of that symbol, Dave?
I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's just something that they called
you can't
it later.
really see yours, Kenny. We're on the little, we're all in a little screen.
Yeah.
And so, but I guess that's similar, a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Can you name what you see there, Kenny?
On yours?
No, yours.
Oh,
if you close it, Brent, then we'll see his
Well, do you have another image?
I do, but we can come back to it.
Yeah, we'll go back to it.
Okay, the golden rule.
Okay, now we're gonna, if I have to talk before it'll flip over to me.
Oh, you're there.
Okay. So that is, some guy in Toronto had an idea, the same as the artist you looked at, Brent. And this is what he came up with. And he's got a whole website on this topic, and he just has quite a few more. He's got all kinds of different religions in there. So because I have a sense of direction of the 4 different directions, and maybe the 8, depending on how you follow it. I wonder why he put certain ones in certain directions. And I have a feeling he doesn't know either. He just put them in a certain order. I don't know that he had a reason, but I sure as hell would.
Or he's just one with everything and knows exactly where to put it.
Oh, that explains it. I knew there was an explanation. I wasn't quite sure what. So I got this brand new T-shirt here that I've had it for quite a while, but I've never worn it. It's huge. I think I have to gain about 40 pounds before I'll fit into it. And I'm trying to lose 40 pounds. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. But it's reminiscent. It's the same basic thing. I'll read some of them to you. Hinduism, Baha'i, Islam, Judaism, Jainism, Zoroastrianism, native spirituality, Unitarianism, Christianity, Sikhism, Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and we're back to Hinduism. So I can see having the meditative ones up around medical. Now, the ones at the bottom should, according to the different symbolism of the different directions, should be things like Christianity, where they're all about passion and love.
Hmm.
And instead, it's native spirituality. Well, native spirituality is probably more belongs in the center, in the way I understand these things. So that's why I don't think he really like
Oh,
this. Judaism is all about sacred law. Well, sacred law is in the northeast, and he's got it in the northwest, and he's got it in the west. Well, okay, close enough. Islam, same thing. Lots of sacred law in Islam. And I don't know why he's got them over here so far away from Christianity.
I think it's interesting they didn't use the Merkaba or Merkaba for the star, like the Star of David there for Judaism. They used something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the menorah.
The
The
menorah,
menorah. Yeah, that's different. That's very different.
yeah. It's quite common to see that Star of David in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go.
While we're at this, I'll now that we're showing shirts, I haven't gotten these out in a long time. I used to wear these all the time.
Wow. Oh,
So this
cool.
is one I bought at probably a Grateful Dead show.
Yeah, yeah. It looks
yeah.
very Grateful Dead.
I could
Yeah,
see that.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
Very cool.
I don't know how many acid trips I've done in all these shirts, but many.
It was nice of you for your fellow trippers. They could look at your shirt and
Yeah.
trip out.
They could all point to it and say, I'm at that place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Nice,
Wow.
huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Is that like a peace dove? Is that, yeah.
You could call it that.
Wow.
Nice.
Peace and infinity
Infinity, yeah.
and the Eye of Horus. Maybe
Oh, it is the hot eye of Horus.
a little bit. That reminds me of it. The
Yes.
bird's eye.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Here's the
Wow.
best. Here's the best one.
Wow.
Oh, nice one.
Ah,
Serpent.
Oh, okay.
the serpent.
The
Yes.
Kundalini
I'll be right
and
back.
through the seven, is it seven chakras? Are we?
Yep.
Oh, wow. 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 Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now this is the original shirt. I worn it many times, but I always washed it. Hand washed it, and
Ah,
so it's got the same colors almost as it did when I bought it 40 years ago.
wow. That's 40 years old. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
That's a beautiful piece.
Wow.
In fact, I could just sort of put it like this. This is the way it would look on me. something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So it's
Oh,
really.
my.
I was dancing once and I was looking up and there were lots of people like way out there. I was in the bottom of a stadium and there was this couple I was looking at and they were looking right at me as I was dancing. And this lady's pointing down towards me and she goes like this to her husband or her boyfriend or whatever it was. So we were all kind of like there together in that show.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple others.
Oh,
Oh, wow. That is beautiful.
wow.
Wow is right.
Wow.
Is that in India?
Well, it isn't in Muncie, Indiana, that's for sure.
No, but I'm just wondering, isn't there what's the light festival in India? Is that what,
Diwali. And
I guess that's what it is, yeah.
yeah, we either that just passed or we're in it. Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Every time we go to an Indian restaurant lately, they give us desserts because it's Diwali,
Mm.
Wow.
celebrating it. Yeah. Wow.
Look how big it is. Jeez.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, it's
That's-
amazing, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that reminds me, I have to go light a candle tomorrow.
ah,
My godmother died this morning,
Oh dear.
and I
Wow.
have to go. I'm going to go to my favorite church and light a candle for her.
Great.
Yeah.
yes.
So all these people, like this would never happen in this country that I live in unless it was about death. You know, then you get the quilts with the AIDS and all that stuff. But
Oh,
this isn't. I don't know what exactly this is, but I don't think it's about death. I think it's about something else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a celebration of light.
Yeah.
I mean, it is similar to what happens around our Christmas time, where we light everything up because we're at our darkest time, right? The longest night of the year, and I feel what it is that we've done for millennium, I guess, is you know, the return of the light. The days are going to start getting longer, and we celebrate light or we rail against the darkness with the light.
Mm.
So, but this is beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great photo.
I was smart enough
Right.
to wait to the end to show this one.
Yes, thank you, Brent.
Really
Thank
nice.
you,
Yeah.
Kenny. Thank you, Brent. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
That was great, and sharing your stories too. Really important ones to share, right? Your
Yeah.
relationship with the nature, right?
Nature boy.
Yeah, you are. He feeds some crows that we have out back, and so he's been feeding them for years.
Yeah. And the mother, the first time ever this morning, she came and she pulled the food right out of my hand. She just jumped right at me, and she like startled me because she'd never done it before. And yeah, she just came right up to me and she grabbed it. Just give me that.
Give me that. You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't got all day here. Let's go. This is
Did
Yeah.
that hurt a little bit when that happened?
Well, I pulled away just in time. She went right at the food I was holding, and then I just got out of her way just in time. But she like grabbed it right before
I didn't mean physically. Did you feel a little hurt inside when she came up like that?
No.
No. He's been wanting them to do that for a
Well,
long
yeah.
time.
Been,
Yeah.
Oh, because I just, the way I was looking at it was like, get out of my way, just give me the fucking food. You know,
I
was her-
see.
No, but you know what, Brent? She's pretty old now.
She's very old.
She's looking pretty rough. So I
Oh.
said to Dave, like normally, you know, they don't come as close to me, but I'd say a week or so ago, I went out, I said, Dave, like she's really close. Like she's right outside our
Yes,
door. I've
she's
never
knocking
seen
on-
her do that.
Knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Do you feed her every day?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now,
Maybe you're keeping her alive longer than she would be.
I think we have been, yeah. Yeah, because she's getting really good food too. It's not like just bread. It's, you know, combination. I ground up a whole bunch of dates and nuts and figs.
Oh God.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, and so like it's not just her, like the male too.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when they had their babies, like they've seen how many generations now, right?
Yeah.
You cannot stop this, because if you stop doing this, they will find a way to kill you.
I know. I am living in fear of
I
the
can see that.
crows.
But Brent, it's not just Dave that's been trained by the crows.
No.
It's our neighbor 2 doors down. It's the neighbor upstairs. It's like there's
Yeah.
a couple of neighbors feeding them.
Yeah, it all started about, over 15 years ago. And there was a guy living in the house across the alley from us, and his name was Joe, and he started feeding them. And then he moved away, and so I picked up, and then the neighbor at the corner, she saw, like I would just put peanuts up by their in the nook of a tree, and then they would fly down and grab it. And so she started doing it, and then the woman upstairs as well, she started feeding them off of her deck, so they don't have to go anywhere. And they'll take it and they'll store it. They don't, you know, a lot of it, they don't need a lot of it. And so they've got a big cache. They're probably the wealthiest crows in Vancouver.
I think so. Yeah, I do think they are the wealthiest crows.
Yeah, but they are getting, they molt every year and they look horrible. But then by this time of the year, they're beautiful. Their new feathers have come in. But the male, that's happened. He looks absolutely,
he looks good. Yeah,
beautiful. But she doesn't look so good. So yeah, kind of. I think that's maybe she's sick, and that's why she's so aggressive with getting the food. And but yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
I think that's it. This was a long show, but a lot of storytelling too, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone, you know, showing their pictures, and Dave for sharing his insight. And thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.